case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for.
In a 1975 case that went before the Texas Courts of Civil Appeals, Mrs. Fred M. Cope took a stand against O.W. Grun Roofing and Construction Company for alleged breach of contract. The suit arose from the defendant's failure to correctly install a new roof on Mrs. Cope's home according to the specific terms laid out in their agreement. An issue under contention was the splotchy brown varied color of the newly installed roof, which was riddled with conspicuous yellow streaks due to non-matching shingles. When Mrs. Cope discovered these streaks, the defendant attempted to amend the problem, but without success. Simultaneously, the defendant cross-claimed to receive the agreed-upon payment from Mrs. Cope and to foreclose the mechanic's lien. However, the jury found in favor of Mrs. Cope, setting aside the mechanic's lien and awarding her a modest sum of $122.60 in damages. Key to their decision was the finding that the defendant had violated the doctrine of good faith and had not substantially performed the contract. Ultimately, the jury decreed that Mrs. Cope had received no benefits from the defendant's faulty performance. In response to this judgment, the defendant lodged an appeal, challenging the sufficiency of the evidence supporting the initial ruling. They argued that their workmanship qualified as substantial performance, a legal doctrine that permits contractual recovery even if full compliance has not been achieved, so long as the non-performance is not material. Despite these proclamations, photographs and an expert's testimony painted a different picture, indicating that a completely new roof would be necessary to rectify the unsightly color discrepancy. In the end, however, the trial court's judgment was upheld. The defendant's appeal was rebuffed due to their failure to object to the wording of the original issue under Texas law. The inability to find matching shingles to replace the non-conforming ones led to the conclusion that the defendant had not performed substantially on the contract, and that Mrs. Cope had indeed not benefited from their labor. As a result, in a case where aesthetic taste could be decisive, the doctrine of substantial performance took an interesting twist, revealing the substantive power of hues in the legal world.
Case briefs, and so much more. LSData's got what you're looking for. Visit lsd.law, elevate your mind. Leave the stress of class.